Hello, I'm continuing my reviews on the Friday the 13th movies with one of my favorites, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Now, this is definitely one of my favorite installments of the series, even though some people might not like it because in this they definitely go really over the top with a lot of the supernatural aspects of the series. But personally, I think it's one of the best installments of the series. The movie is directed by John Carl Buecher, who also directed a movie called Troll, and I believe he's done special effects for a few of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. The movie came out in 1988, so it came out 2 years after Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. And the movie begins with a little girl named Tina Shepard who hears her parents fighting, and you can tell right off the bat that her parents have kind of an abusive relationship. What happens is she runs out and goes onto a little boat and goes out onto the lake, so the father goes out and tries to get her to come back, and basically you find out that this little girl actually has telekinetic powers. Now, that might sound really weird for, a movie in this series, but that's what happens. It turns out that she has telekinetic powers, and she accidentally kills her father with her powers. That might sound really stupid, but it's actually done really well in this movie. What happens is it jumps ahead to years later. Tina is now a teenager, and you find out that she's been in a psychiatric hospital for some time. Her doctor has this idea to bring her out to the house by Crystal Lake where, she accidentally killed her father, and right off the bat, you really don't like her doctor. He's basically an asshole, and you find out that he doesn't really want to help her. He wants to experiment with her powers, and basically, now, in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, it ended where Tommy Jarvis drowned Jason in the lake. So, in this movie, basically Tina, she's looking at the lake, and what happens is she's remembering what she did to her father, and all of a sudden she loses control of her powers, and somehow her powers bring Jason back from the dead. And of course she tells her doctor and her mother about this, and they don't believe her. The doctor thinks it was just a hallucination caused by the guilt over her father's death, so of course they don't believe her, and now Jason is back, and there's a house right by her house, and there are staying a bunch of these kids. I guess they're teenagers or young adults, and basically it's similar to the other movies. Jason now goes after this group of teenagers. Now in the movie, Kane Hodder plays Jason, and a lot of people say Kane Hodder is one of the best people to play Jason, and I have to agree with that. I think Kane Hodder does a great job as playing Jason in this. And the look for Jason in this movie, I think, is probably, out of all the movies, this is like the best look for him, in my opinion. So basically what happens is now Tina has to use her powers to defeat Jason. I know that sounds really cheesy, and the story is cheesy, but it's done well, in my opinion. Like, the movie's directed well, and I actually think the movie's really well acted. It actually does take itself really seriously, and I know that sounds kind of weird for a Friday the 13th movie, but it actually does take itself pretty seriously, and it's a pretty good movie, actually. Definitely one of my favorite installments of the series. So yeah, that's Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and my next review will be on Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan, which I will just say right now is not as good as this one.